I mean, Caitlin to the ground, and ooh, that's a hand to the neck, and then Alyssa Thomas.
Maybe the officials missed it in the game, and then when they have to...
So when a player makes illegal contact, it's called a personal foul, which means this would be. So that would, yeah, that's a personal foul. No, there is no foul. You know, it's because that's why. But when a player makes unnecessary illegal contact, then it's called a flagrant 1 foul, which means this would be, let's see, that's unnecessary. Yep, that's a flagrant 1 foul. No. What would you think? The player made normal illegal contact, which means it's just a personal foul. See what I mean? The player was just trying to get into a defensive position and accidentally made contact with the other player. That's why. But when the illegal contact is unnecessary and excessive, then that would be a flagrant 2 foul, which means this would be. So that's unnecessary and excessive. That would be a flagrant 2 foul. No. Flagrant 1 foul? No.
Angelica Suffren, that is the name that decided to look at Caitlin Clark getting throttled in the throat without any consequence. She had the perfect view of what happened. Look at her. She goes straight towards it, and guess what? She lets play go on. Should WNBA review and or suspend referee Angelica Suffren after the missed call on Caitlin Clark? Now, these videos are doing the rounds. Meet Angelica Suffren, the WNBA ref who had a direct line of sight to Caitlin Clark taking a fist to the throat, but decided to not blow the whistle. The WNBA is full of a narcissist, attention seeker, says hero of the day.
If you thought the biggest controversy surrounding Caitlin Clark had already come and gone, think again. A single sequence from a recent WNBA game has sparked a debate that refuses to die, and now fans across the country are asking the same question. How does a play happen directly in front of an official without a whistle? As new angles continue circulating online, millions of basketball fans are replaying the moment frame by frame, trying to understand what the referee saw and why the game continued without an immediate call. The discussion has grown far beyond one missed play. It's now about player safety, officiating standards, and whether the league is being consistent when it comes to protecting its biggest stars. What makes this story even more interesting is that the conversation didn't end when the final buzzer sounded. Former players, television analysts, coaches, and fans have all weighed in with completely different opinions.
To make things worse, Alyssa Thomas's friends, her coach, people around her coming out, and she's the victim. She's the victim in all this. She should have been given some notice that the league didn't act in the right way.
All right, ladies, your thoughts just as the league continues to work through what many perceive as consistency issues, especially when it comes to games being officiated, Lisa.
Well, officiating is tough. I don't know if anybody's ever even tried to officiate. It's not the easiest game. It's one of the most thankless jobs you can do. But in this particular situation, I thought that the last official should have been able to catch that. I was actually watching this game and I was like, oh, wow, that was a bit much. So in that moment, I thought that the official missed the call. I'm not surprised that the league went back and fined Alyssa Thomas. But I think at the same time, it's tough to think that official would have missed that they didn't have a replay on it. That was tough to me. And I think overall, the league's got to do better. The officials have got to do better, but also players. Players have to clean it up. We used to play in a way that you protected one another. Yeah, I want to play physical. I want to play hard, but I'm not out here trying to hurt you. If I was out there for a loose ball and it was Renee down there, yeah, I'm going for the ball. But if I accidentally punched Renee or hit her in some kind of way, maybe the play goes on, but I help her up. I help her up. You know what I mean? Just out of the like, dang, my bad. So I think that part is important too, the reaction. Maybe if Alyssa Thomas would have even turned like, dang, my bad, I didn't mean to hit you like that. It's a different thing, but that's not what happened. And so I think that the league got it right. But I think overall, Coach Tibbetts is correct. Everything, consistency is important. It needs to be cleaned up for all players, regardless of what their accolades are. None of that part matters. It matters about protecting these players, no matter which team, which position, when they sub in, the start of the game to the end of the game. Every player deserves the same type of protection.
I think the league got the suspension of Alyssa Thomas right. Lisa Leslie disagrees with Mercury head coach Nate Tibbetts and defends Caitlin Clark. Anyone with an ounce of something up there and these things here and these things, yeah, would be able to see that this fella, Nate Tibbetts, I know he's probably trying to protect his player, but Oh my god, surely you have an ounce of like respect and be like, you know what, yeah, she did something wrong. It was a cheap shot, it wasn't intentional. Wasn't intentional. Did you not see? Am I losing it?
Some believe the officials simply missed a fast-moving play, while others argue the league must do more to ensure dangerous contact is handled consistently. Add in the reactions surrounding Alyssa Thomas, comments from Lisa Leslie, coach Nate Tibbetts, and the growing debate over Caitlin Clark's treatment around the league, and suddenly one controversial moment has become one of the biggest talking points in the WNBA. Stay with us, because we're breaking down everything that happened, what different voices are saying, and why this controversy continues to divide basketball fans across America. The conversation surrounding Caitlin Clark has once again taken center stage across the basketball world, but this time it isn't because of a game-winning shot or a record-breaking performance. Instead, fans, analysts, and former players are debating a controversial sequence that unfolded during a recent WNBA matchup. Within minutes of the game ending, clips of the play spread across social media, with thousands of viewers slowing the footage down frame by frame and asking the same question. How did such significant contact happen without an immediate whistle? The play itself happened quickly, which is often the biggest challenge for officials working at the professional level. Basketball is an incredibly fast sport, and referees are forced to make split-second decisions while tracking multiple players at once. Even so, many fans argued that the official closest to the action appeared to have a clear view of the contact involving Caitlin Clark. That instantly shifted the conversation from the players on the floor to the officiating crew. As the replay circulated online, basketball fans began comparing the sequence to the WNBA's own rules regarding personal fouls and flagrant fouls. Many pointed out that not every hard collision automatically deserves the same penalty. Officials must determine whether contact is simply part of normal basketball, whether it is unnecessary, or whether it becomes excessive enough to warrant a more serious ruling. Those distinctions are important because they can completely change the outcome of a possession and even affect future disciplinary action by the league. That debate became even louder once different camera angles started appearing online. Some viewers believed the contact clearly deserved an immediate whistle, while others argued that real-time speed can look very different from slow-motion replay. As often happens in professional sports, one replay created two completely different opinions depending on who was watching. The discussion intensified after fans identified referee Angelica Suffren as one of the officials nearest to the play. Her positioning quickly became a major talking point across sports media and social platforms. Some critics questioned whether the play should have been stopped immediately, while others reminded fans that officials are expected to make difficult decisions in real time without the benefit of slow-motion replay during live action. The controversy didn't stop with the officiating crew. Attention soon shifted toward Alyssa Thomas, whose involvement in the play sparked another wave of discussion. The WNBA later reviewed the incident, adding another layer to an already heated conversation. League reviews after games are common whenever officials or the competition committee believe a play deserves another look, especially if player safety is involved. That review led many fans to revisit an issue that has followed the WNBA throughout recent seasons: consistency. Every fan base wants to believe the rules are applied equally regardless of the player involved. Whether the athlete is a rookie, a veteran, an MVP candidate, or one of the league's biggest stars, supporters expect the same standard of officiating every night. Former WNBA legend Lisa Leslie also weighed in on the broader issue of officiating. While acknowledging that refereeing professional basketball is one of the toughest jobs in sports, she explained that protecting players has to remain a priority. Her comments reflected a balanced perspective, recognizing both the difficulty officials face and the expectation that obvious dangerous contact should be addressed whenever possible. That perspective resonated with many fans because it focused less on assigning blame and more on improving consistency across the league. Instead of framing the issue as one player versus another, the conversation expanded into whether the WNBA can continue improving officiating standards as the league's popularity continues to grow. As television ratings rise and more national attention focuses on the WNBA than ever before, every controversial call receives far more scrutiny than it might have just a few years ago. Social media ensures that every replay is examined from multiple angles within minutes, meaning officials now face constant public analysis long after the final buzzer. For Caitlin Clark, this latest controversy is simply another chapter in a rookie and sophomore stretch that has placed her under an extraordinary spotlight. Every game she plays generates enormous attention, and every physical matchup quickly becomes a national talking point. Whether that increased attention is fair or unfair remains part of the ongoing debate, but there is no denying that her presence has dramatically increased interest in the league. As more voices joined the conversation, including analysts, former players, coaches, and fans, the story became much bigger than one missed whistle. It evolved into a discussion about player safety, league accountability, and how professional basketball should balance physical competition with consistent enforcement of the rules. And as additional reactions continued to emerge, it became clear that this debate was far from over. As the controversy continued to dominate sports discussions, attention shifted away from the replay itself and toward the league's response. For many fans, the biggest question was no longer whether the contact looked severe in slow motion. Instead, they wanted to know how the WNBA evaluates these situations after the game and whether its disciplinary process is applied consistently across every team. Professional basketball leagues regularly review plays that generate significant debate. During those reviews, officials and league personnel can examine multiple camera angles that were unavailable during live action. That process exists because even experienced referees sometimes miss calls in a game that moves at incredible speed. While fans often expect perfection, the reality is that every official must make split-second decisions while tracking several players at once. Once the league completed its review, the conversation expanded again. Some fans believed the response was appropriate because it acknowledged that the play deserved additional attention. Others argued that the punishment should have been more severe, while another group believed the original play was simply an unfortunate basketball collision rather than an intentional attempt to injure another player. Those different interpretations showed just how divided the basketball community had become. Much of the discussion centered around Alyssa Thomas. Throughout her career, she has built a reputation as one of the WNBA's toughest competitors. Coaches and teammates have frequently praised her physical style of play, describing her as someone who competes with relentless energy every night. Because of that reputation, many supporters argued that one controversial sequence should not define her entire career. That perspective was echoed by Phoenix Mercury head coach Nate Tibbetts, who publicly defended Thomas after the league announced its decision. Tibbetts emphasized that everyone familiar with Thomas understands how hard she plays and rejected the idea that she should be labeled as a dirty player based on one incident. He also expressed disappointment with the review process, suggesting that those directly involved were not fully consulted before the final decision was announced. His comments immediately sparked another wave of debate. Some fans appreciated that he stood behind one of the league's respected veterans, believing every coach has a responsibility to support their players during difficult moments. Others felt his remarks overlooked the importance of player safety, arguing that coaches should also acknowledge when dangerous contact occurs regardless of intent. At the same time, former players continued offering a different perspective. Lisa Leslie reminded viewers that basketball has always been a physical sport, but she stressed that there is an important difference between aggressive competition and unnecessary contact. She explained that while accidental collisions are part of the game, players also have a responsibility to look out for one another whenever possible. Those comments resonated with many longtime basketball fans because they reflected the culture that many former players say existed throughout their careers. Competing hard never meant forgetting respect for an opponent. If an accidental collision happened, players often checked to make sure everyone was okay before continuing to compete. That balance between toughness and sportsmanship became one of the central themes surrounding this controversy. As television networks covered the story, analysts pointed out another factor that continues influencing public perception: Caitlin Clark's enormous popularity. Since entering the WNBA, nearly every game involving Clark has attracted extraordinary attention. Television ratings have increased, arenas have sold out, and national media coverage has reached levels rarely seen in women's professional basketball. With that level of visibility comes greater scrutiny. Every foul involving Clark is analyzed repeatedly across television, podcasts, YouTube channels, and social media platforms. Supporters argue that this attention is evidence of her impact on the league. Critics respond that every star player experiences increased attention and that officials must continue applying the rules equally regardless of popularity. That difference in opinion has created one of the biggest ongoing conversations surrounding the WNBA. Some believe Clark receives excessive physical attention from defenders because opponents recognize how dangerous she can be offensively. Others argue that physical defense has always been part of professional basketball and that every elite player eventually learns how to adjust. Regardless of which side fans support, there is widespread agreement on one point: consistency matters. Players, coaches, and fans all want to understand how officials distinguish between ordinary basketball contact and actions that require additional discipline. Without that consistency, every controversial play risks becoming another national debate instead of remaining part of the competition itself. As more former players, broadcasters, and commentators shared their opinions, the focus gradually shifted from one single incident toward the league's broader officiating standards. The discussion became less about assigning blame to one referee or one player and more about whether current systems give officials every opportunity to make the correct decision in high-pressure situations. With every new interview and public statement, the controversy continued growing beyond the court. Instead of fading after a few news cycles, it became part of a larger conversation about player safety, accountability, and the future direction of a league experiencing unprecedented growth. And as fans waited to see whether additional changes or clarifications would follow, one thing became increasingly clear. This story was no longer just about one controversial moment. It had become a debate over how the WNBA handles its biggest challenges under the brightest spotlight. By the time the controversy reached its peak, the discussion had evolved far beyond a single sequence on the court. Fans were no longer debating only what happened during one possession. Instead, many began asking a broader question. What does this situation reveal about the direction of the WNBA as the league enters one of the most important periods in its history? There is little doubt that women's professional basketball has experienced remarkable growth over the past 2 seasons. Attendance has increased, television audiences have reached new milestones, and national media coverage has expanded dramatically. Much of that momentum has been fueled by outstanding performances from stars across the league, including veterans who have helped build the sport over many years and younger players who continue attracting new audiences. Caitlin Clark has undoubtedly become one of the most recognizable faces in that new generation. Every road game featuring the Indiana Fever draws enormous attention, with thousands of fans arriving hours before tip-off hoping to watch one of the league's biggest attractions. That popularity creates excitement, but it also places every moment under an extraordinary microscope. Because of that visibility, even routine basketball plays can quickly become national headlines. A controversial foul, an emotional exchange, or a disputed officiating decision can dominate sports conversations for days. In today's digital world, every angle is replayed, every opinion is debated, and every statement from coaches or players becomes part of a much larger discussion. One topic that gained significant attention during this controversy involved player protection. Throughout the season, several physical moments involving different teams have generated debate about where officials should draw the line between aggressive defense and unnecessary contact. Fans from multiple franchises, not just Indiana, have called for greater consistency whenever dangerous plays occur. Former players have repeatedly emphasized that physical basketball is an important part of the game. Strong defense, hustle, and competitive intensity are qualities every coach values. At the same time, they also argue that protecting athletes must remain the league's highest priority. Those two ideas are not mutually exclusive. A league can encourage physical competition while still enforcing rules designed to reduce unnecessary risks. Another layer of the conversation centered on public perception. As analysts continued discussing the incident, many shifted their focus toward potential improvements rather than assigning blame. Some suggested expanding referee training, while others recommended increased transparency when the league reviews controversial plays. Clear explanations following major decisions, they argued, could help fans better understand how certain rulings are reached and reduce confusion surrounding disciplinary actions. Another topic that generated conversation involved communication. Coaches naturally defend their players, officials defend the integrity of their work, and the league must balance both perspectives while protecting everyone involved. Finding that balance is rarely simple, especially when millions of viewers are analyzing every decision in real time. Meanwhile, the debate surrounding the league's promotional efforts also resurfaced. Some commentators questioned how the WNBA highlights its stars during major campaigns, arguing that marketing decisions inevitably influence public discussion. Others responded that celebrating the league's history requires recognizing contributions from many different generations of players rather than focusing on any single athlete. Regardless of where fans stood, the conversation demonstrated how closely every league decision is now examined. For Caitlin Clark, the attention is unlikely to disappear anytime soon. Every game she plays will continue attracting national interest, and every significant moment involving her will likely generate headlines across sports media. That level of attention reflects both the opportunities and challenges that come with becoming one of the most recognizable athletes in professional basketball. Looking ahead, the biggest test for the WNBA may not be whether controversial moments occur. They happen in every sport. The real challenge is ensuring players, coaches, officials, and fans believe the rules are enforced consistently from opening night through the championship. Trust in the process is essential for any league that continues growing at a rapid pace. Whether viewers agreed with the officials, supported the league's review, defended Alyssa Thomas, or believed Caitlin Clark deserved greater protection, one thing became impossible to ignore. This conversation highlighted just how much interest now surrounds the WNBA. Millions of people are watching, analyzing, and debating every major storyline. As the season continues, the spotlight will only grow brighter, and every decision, on and off the court, will continue shaping the future of one of the fastest-growing leagues in professional sports. If you've made it this far, we want to hear your perspective. After watching the replays, listening to the reactions from Lisa Leslie, Coach Nate Tibbetts, and the league's response. What do you think? Did the officials handle the play correctly in real time, or should the WNBA consider making changes to improve consistency and player safety moving forward? Share your thoughts in the comments below because this conversation has divided basketball fans across the country, and every opinion adds to the discussion. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more in-depth coverage of the biggest WNBA stories, game analysis, and the latest updates surrounding Caitlin Clark, Alyssa Thomas, the Indiana Fever, and the rest of the league, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. We bring you timely basketball news, thoughtful analysis, and the biggest stories shaping the WNBA all season long. Thanks for watching, stay safe, enjoy the games, and we'll see you in the next video.